The Legendary Sorcerer Theory. When a country is faced with disaster, immorality reigns, and the people stop believing in magic, a legendary sorcerer will appear. This is not fiction, it is reality based off of real historical events. I discovered this while doing research into real life sorcerers throughout history. I saw there was a pattern and a strange consistency with each great sorcerer I read about. From this information, I have created the Legendary Sorcerer Theory. To be considered the Legendary Sorcerer, you must meet the following criteria. Number 1. Have real magic powers that were demonstrated in front of a large number of people, or have scientific evidence supporting the fact that you have magic powers. Number 2. Being a leader of a political faction. Number 3. Appearing during a time of crisis, immorality, and a lack of faith in magic. Number 4. You cannot be a potentially mythical figure with little to no evidence to support whether you existed. For example, I am a fan of Merlin, but he fails to meet this criteria due to the small amount of historical evidence about his life. The following are 5 real legendary sorcerers or magic practitioners. Zhang Jiao and his brother Zhang Bao. Magic powers, healing, weather control or airbending, which allowed them to summon hurricanes on the battlefield. Nationality, Chinese. Zhang Jiao, the head leader, was born 140 AD and died 188 AD. Proof of magic powers. Magic powers used in front of a large number of people to gain a mass following. Hurricane summoned during the Battle of Quyang and other battles. During the late Han Dynasty, the Han court was dominated by the corrupt 10 eunuchs. Corruption, immorality, inequality, unemployment, and famine due to an agrarian crisis led to the Yellow Turban Rebellion. Zhang Jiao and Zhang Bao were the leaders of the Yellow Turban Rebellion. Because Zhang Jiao and Zhang Bao did mass demonstrations of their magic powers, they were able to gain a mass following and lead a large rebellion across China. The rebellion failed, but the Han Dynasty collapsed into factions of warlords, and civil war broke out across the country. Both brothers died during the war. Dutty Bookman, Voodoo Doctor, magic powers, prophet, successfully predicted the future. Nationality, Haitian, died 1791. Proof of magic powers, had an accurate premonition about the slaves winning the rebellion and gaining independence. My list would not be complete without a voodoo practitioner. There are no paintings of Dutty Bookman, so I'll instead use a picture of Baron Samedi, who is the voodoo master of the dead. Dutty Bookman was the leader of the Haitian slave rebellion. Slaves were treated in Haiti under terrible and appalling conditions. Some of them were literally worked to death, will only be given the minimum food and shelter. Dutty Bookman, a voodoo practitioner, started to organize secret voodoo meetings, which turned into a rebel movement. Before the outbreak of rebellion, during the final meeting, there was an ominous thunderstorm. Dutty Bookman had a great premonition. With his order, rebellion broke out all over Haiti. Revenge was understandably brutal against the slave owners. The slave owners were also brutal during the rebellion. Dutty Boukman died during the fighting. However, his premonition was correct. The fighting dragged on for years, but Haiti did gain independence and the slaves were freed. Mysteriously, there is little information about Dutty Boukman, most probably because of magic denial or other political factions trying to take credit for his rebellion. If you have any more information about his magic powers, comment below. Cao Futan or Sao Futan, Kung Fu Master with magic powers. Magic powers, level 2 Chi magic, able to block bullets, swords and knives. Nationality Chinese, died 1901. Proof of magic. Boxer Rebellion leaders gained mass followers for the Boxer Rebellion by giving demonstrations of being able to block bullets, swords and knives. Mass witnesses including foreign journalists and skeptics observed the demonstrations. China in 1900 was suffering from a mass famine, disasters, and unemployment. Because China lost the Opium Wars to protect itself from England selling opium to its people, China was suffering at the hands of the colonial powers due to the unequal treaties. The religious and martial arts sect Righteous Harmony Fist tried to drive out the foreign colonial invaders with the eventual support of the Chinese government, which led to a large rebellion across China. The eight-nation alliance of the world's colonial and Western military superpowers attacked China. The Boxers, with their magic powers, with the help of the Islamic Kanzu knaves, and the eventual help of the Chinese government, had some initial success, winning a costly but major victory at the Battle of Langfang, forcing the initial Seymour expedition to retreat. When reinforcements arrived, a massive battle was waged all the way to the gates of Peking, with the Chinese army joining the battle. However, even with their magic powers, the eight-nation alliance of the world's most powerful and modern militaries were too much for the Boxers. They were also betrayed by pro-Western factions in the Chinese army. The Boxers were defeated in 1901. This is one of the final major battles between ancient warriors and modern soldiers that happened during the turn of the 20th century. Cao Futan was co-leader of the Boxer Rebellion and was a charismatic kung fu master. Cao Futan is a mysterious leader. Very little information is known about him, which is like Dutty Boukman is strange. Cao Futan was the co-leader of a large rebellion that involved possibly over 1 million people, which the world press was observing. I try to cross-reference everything I put in a historical video, because there are historians out there who try to suppress magic history. I cannot cross-reference much of anything in regard to Cao Futan. Two things I can say for certain about Cao Futan is because other leaders of the Boxer Rebellion were observed blocking bullets. There is no doubt that him being the leader and a kung fu master, he could do the same. If you have any more information about Cao Futan, comment below. I would like to see it because I have a personal interest in him. Next is Geronimo, Medicine Man, magic powers, bullet resistance, shot numerous times with bullets and buckshot and did not die. Incredible endurance, leading a small band of tribes only numbering 36 warriors and family members at the end, against thousands of Mexican army and US cavalry pursuing them. Unverified magic powers, telekinesis, and walking without creating tracks. Nationality, Native American Apache. Born June 16th, 1829, and died February 17th, 1909. Proof of magic powers. Witnesses see Geronimo get shot and not die several times, scars from several bullet wounds, and people still followed him even though it was the most hopeless situation. Geronimo appeared during a time of crisis for Native Americans. They were on the brink of defeat and were subjected to war crimes from the Mexican army and the US cavalry. Geronimo became a military leader after his mother, wife, and daughter were killed in a raid by the Mexican army while he was away. Have you ever heard the expression Geronimo? People yell it out when doing something dangerous like jumping off a bridge into the water while swimming, so they can hope to be invincible like Geronimo. He gained the nickname Geronimo after charging Mexican soldiers with his knife, ignoring a deadly hail of bullets, and defeated them, causing them to utter appeals to Saint Jerome, or Geronimo. His band was one of the last forces of independent Native American warriors who refused to acknowledge the United States occupation of West America. Geronimo was eventually captured and died in captivity aged 79. Rasputin, monk and healer. Magic powers, healing, poison resistance. Magic protection, making him hard to kill. Nationality, Russian. Born January 22nd, 1869. Died December 29th, 1916. Age 47. Proof of magic powers. The only person who could ease the Tsar's unwell son's pain was Rasputin. Autopsy revealed it took several attempts to kill Rasputin. Rasputin appeared just before the Tsar's Russian monarchy collapsed due to the government's incompetence. Their incompetence led to inequality, mass unemployment, and famine. Rasputin was a monk, healer, and advisor to the Russian Empress, because Rasputin was the only one who could ease the pain of her sick son, who suffered from hemophilia, a very painful disease. The Empress became dependent on Rasputin, allowing him to gain great power in the court. Unrelated to his magic but still worth mentioning, so many rumors were spread about Rasputin due to prejudice against his magic and prejudice against the monarchy. Most historians agree it is hard to know what is true when it comes to his behavior in the court, or even what he believed in religiously. One thing that is certain is that the other officials in the court wanted Rasputin gone because they either did not like him or were jealous of his control over the court. It took 5 attempts in one night to assassinate Rasputin, the most famous of which were the first 2. Rasputin was invited to dinner with some officers who were plotting to assassinate him. They put cyanide in Rasputin's food and watched him eat it. To their horror, it had no effect on Rasputin. So one of the officers asked if he wanted seconds. Rasputin said sure. The officer must have thought, okay, did I forget somehow? I don't see how I could have, but let's try this again. So he put cyanide all through Rasputin's food and drink, all through his meal to make sure he did. He then gave it to Rasputin, watched him eat every bite and drank every bit of drink. Safe to say they were speechless. Rasputin got up, went up the stairs, and left for the door. Now I find it hard to believe you would mix up the cyanide with the baking soda. Cyanide is extremely poisonous. It should have given Rasputin a dirt nap as soon as he put it in his mouth. For me, this is quite compelling evidence of Rasputin's magic powers, as well as what happens next. Viewer discretion advised. As Rasputin went up the stairs for the door, one of the officers followed Rasputin up the stairs and shot Rasputin in the back of the head with a pistol. However, Rasputin did not die, and he started to fight back. The officer shot Rasputin several times in the head, but Rasputin still would not go down. So he resorted to clubbing Rasputin with his pistol. Rasputin was finally subdued, and his body was dumped in a nearby river. His autopsy revealed, after all his injuries, he died from drowning. It is safe to say that Rasputin had some magic protection, which made him hard to kill. These are 5 legendary sorcerers in history. So what about you? Are you different somehow from the rest? Have you changed? Will you reach the next level and become the next legendary sorcerer?